going to start off immediately today with a hearing. So I'm going to turn it over to our solicitor, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you, Chairman Geisway. This is the time and place for a public hearing when the request of the application for Cumberland County PSES 55 LLC and SolAmerica Energy LLC for conditional use approval to permit the development of a principal solar energy system on land at 320 South Middlesex Road, owned by Ralph and Linda Deitch. Notice of this hearing was published in the Sentinel on July 8 and July 15, 2025. Notice of this hearing was also posted on July 15, 2025 on visible locations of the land that's the subject of this hearing. Written notice was provided according to law to the owner of the property where the solar use is proposed, as well as the applicant on June 27, 2025. The Middlesex Township Planning Commission considered the applicant's proposed use at a public meeting on June 9, 2025, and unanimously recommended denial of the application to the Board of Supervisors. This hearing is being conducted by the Board of Supervisors and is being stenographically recorded. All witnesses that will be providing evidence to the board will need to be sworn prior to offering testimony. Although the formal rules of evidence did not apply to this hearing, irrelevant, immaterial, and unduly repetitious evidence may be excluded. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant will present all of its witnesses in support of its application. The witnesses will then be subject to questioning by the Board of Supervisors first, and then questioned by interested parties. After the applicant has presented all of the witnesses and evidence in support of its application, the board can then hear evidence from persons opposed to the application. Those persons will be sworn and subject to questions by the board, the applicant, and interested parties. After all persons who oppose the application have been given the opportunity to present evidence and be examined, those persons wishing to offer comments concerning the application, whether for or against, will be given the opportunity to do so. After the conclusion of all testimony and evidence, the board will take a vote on the request, and a written decision will be issued consistent with that vote. I note for the record that the conditional use application is part of the record of this proceeding. At this point, I'll turn the hearing over to counsel for the applicants.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Charlie Sir. I'm the attorney with Stevens Lee, here representing the applicant, which is Cumberland County PSES 5 LLC, which is a special purpose entity owned by SolAmerica Energy Services. They are the equitable owner of approximately 25-acre portion of land totaling 115 acres, which is a farm located at 320 South Middlesex Road in Middlesex Township. It's currently owned by Ralph and Linda each. It's zoned residential farm, RF, underneath the current Middlesex Township zoning ordinance. The project, which is under consideration for conditional use approval, is a 3-megawatt generating solar array over a approximately 25-acre leased portion of the farm. This is, of course, a conditional use underneath the zoning ordinance, and the use as specified is a principal solar energy system. And as a conditional use, of course, it is a permitted use, provided that the standards within the ordinance for such use are met. And the ordinance regulations are set forth in ordinance number 5 of 2011, which amended the zoning ordinance with the regulations for a principal solar energy system. And as your solicitor stated, we were before the Planning Commission actually on three occasions. First on May 12th, then June 9th, and then finally on June 23rd, when the Planning Commission issued their recommendations. Of course, the recommendation was to deny the application. However, it was not based upon any substantive ordinance provisions, but rather general concerns about the negative impact that the solar array would have on the community. three witnesses here this morning to go through the application. First of all, I have Dan Geist. He's our professional engineer from Integrated Consulting. He's going to testify about the site details, the site design of the project, and most of the conditional use standards. We also have Bill Caffell. He's an acoustics expert from Scully and Lloyd at Terracon, and he's going to testify about sound emissions that emanate from the solar array, as well as the conditional use noise standards that are in the ordinance. Third, we have Scott Temple. He is actually an employee of the applicant, and as the project development manager, he's going to testify about the design of the operations, as well as how it operates, and answer some questions that we believe came out of the Planning Commission discussion about the operations. Of course, he can also here answer any questions you may have about the operations, and of course, the other two witnesses are here for examination. We're going to start off with Scott Temple first, and with that, I'm also going to say we do have exhibit binders. I'm going to hand these out. What you get about the change? Yeah, we'll swear in everything. What you say? I do have a few extra ones. Anyone interested in having one? Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do them all.
Please swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth,
Of course, Scott, could you state your name for the record?
My name is Scott Temple.
If you can speak up loud so we can hear you. Where are you currently employed?
I'm working for SolAmerica Energy.
And where is that entity located?
Our home office is in England, Georgia.
And what do you do for them?
Turn the volume up. Do you have
I'm
a microphone? Is there a mic that can go over there?
I can't hear either, so we're gonna have
Our world.
I will endeavor to speak up.
The expeditious thing to do would be allow him to use one of their microphones.
We figured that out, yes, ma'am.
I
Okay,
just
John.
offered mine, but it's being handled.
Okay, Scott, we were just asking you, little about SolAmerica and where are they located?
Yep, we are in Atlanta, Georgia.
Please use your mic. After all that effort, please use your mic.
Hopefully you can hear me. I was trying to do that. What do you do at SolAmerica,
I'm the permitting manager for SolAmerica.
and what does that entail?
It entails working on entitlement permits. I think
Look, we can hear them.
Please,
Turn
please
around
talk
and
right
speak
into the
to
microphone.
everybody.
Just get close to the mic.
not having comments from. Yeah, so we're working on,
Closer.
work on permitting these projects.
Keep your mouth right beside that microphone. I'm not being critical. Everybody needs to hear what you have to say.
Yes,
Have to
yes.
say.
I can't hear if you can hear me or not. Is it better?
Yeah.
Ready?
Well, Keep your mouth closer.
Unless you speak clearly and directly into that microphone.
Okay, hold on. Get close to the microphone as you can when you speak.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Okay, well, that's fine. So, what type of projects do you work on at SolAmerica?
We focus on community scale solar projects.
And what do you mean by community scale solar projects?
These are smaller projects that are under 5 megawatts in size.
And what's the geographic scope of your projects?
SolAmerica has built over 100 projects in 22 states, east of the Mississippi. We currently have about 120 projects in process.
And how many projects do you have in operation?
We have about 100 projects in operation across the country.
And when you operate these, and develop these projects, are they done under SolAmerica or do you use a special purpose entity?
There's a special purpose entity, a legal entity that's created that's still owned by SolAmerica.
Are you familiar with the site and surrounding area for this morning's hearing?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with the application that was filed for the hearing?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with the needs of SolAmerica in developing the property?
Yes, sir.
And are you familiar with the operations of a completed solar array?
Yes, sir.
And are you authorized to speak on behalf of SolAmerica as well as its special purpose entity, Cumberland County PSES LLC?
That is correct.
Okay. Let's determine what I've marked as Exhibit 1. And can you identify what this is?
This is the application for conditional use.
So the first couple pages is actually the form that we have, correct?
Yes.
Then after that, we have the narrative.
Application narrative.
Determine what I've marked as Exhibit number 2. Can you identify what this is?
This is the property deed.
Go to what I've marked as Exhibit number 3. Can you identify what this is?
This is the memorandum of lease for the property.
And this is between SolAmerica Energy LLC and Ralph and Linda each, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And is this currently in full force and effect?
Correct.
Go to mark as Exhibit number 5. You identify what that is?
This is the assumption of land contract.
So this is the document that signed the land contract to the special purpose entity, correct?
Correct.
And is this currently in full force and effect?
Yes, it is.
Let me turn to my mark as Exhibit number 5, and can you identify what's shown on the first page?
This is the notice to nearby residents about the project.
Right, so this is just one sample letter that was sent out. This was to Donald R. Crane Sr., correct?
Correct.
And if I flip to the following pages, I see a number of certified mail receipts, correct?
Correct.
And these are proof of mailings for the notices that went out?
Yes, sir.
And if my math is correct, I see we have 263 notification letters went out. Is that right?
That's how many went out.
Now, Zane Dice is going to talk more about the physical layout of the array and go through some of the technical details regarding its operations. What I'd like to now get some testimony from you is from operations, really from your side, from the corporate side of the solar array. So, when do you anticipate starting construction of the array?
We are hoping to start construction spring of next year with completion prior to 2027.
All right. So then during the year 2027, you would then start generating electricity with the completed array.
Correct.
Okay. Now, let's just talk in general, so everyone is very clear about how this array is working. And now, not in technical terms, more in layman's terms.
Okay.
Okay, we got sunlight coming down, carrying you through the process.
Okay. Sunlight hits the solar cells and it's converted directly into electricity. The power is converted from DC to AC and up phase to the 3-phase lines and distributed to the community.
So is the power that's being generated here used for a specific user, or will it be for general distribution into the grid?
It is not for a specific user, it's for general distribution into the grid. Community solar projects supply the distribution grid. They're not a transmission project, which has a lot of line loss, so this is locally produced power.
Let's talk about some of the product specifications here. We have a couple exhibits coming up here. We're going to start with exhibit number 6. And you identify what this is.
This is our first solar module.
All right. So when you say solar module, this is what we would call essentially the panel, correct?
Correct.
All right. And what does this panel do?
This is what converts the sunlight into electricity.
All right. And if you would describe generally how these are constructed, is it a solid thing? Is it a layered material?
Correct. It's a solid material. I liken it to a mirror, except the opposite. There is a thin film of metal applied to silicon, which is the conductive material.
All right. So you mentioned silicon. That's essentially either sand or glass.
Correct.
That would be sort of the main outside layer,
That's correct.
All right. Now, inside, there's generally either two materials, as I understand it. It could either be a silicon,
Correct.
or it could be cadmium telluride, correct?
That is correct, and that is what this is.
All right. Now, cadmium telluride, of course, sounds scary. People think those are, dangerous substances. Is that used within the solar array panels?
Yes.
All right. And is that in a liquid form or a solid form?
This is a thin solid layer that's bonded to the silicon.
All right. And that is the main component, which is then converting the sunlight into electricity, correct?
That is correct. And combining cadmium and telluride makes them basically both inert.
Right. So, in other words, the sum of the two are different than the individual components.
Correct.
All right. Now, this solar array panel, where is it manufactured?
We have exclusively obtained a contract with First Solar for American-made panels.
All right, so they're constructed in the United States?
Correct.
Okay. Let's go to what I marked as exhibit number 7. Can you identify what this is?
This is our array racking system.
And what does this do?
This is what allows the solar panels to follow the sun.
And it is actually, I see in the picture here, we seem to have posts. Are those the posts that will be driven to the ground to support the array?
That is correct. They can be driven at different heights, so we don't have to grade the ground itself.
And what are these made out of?
Steel.
And this will then provide the tracking system, which will allow rotation of the panels, correct?
Yes, it's a single axis tracker system.
Okay. And again, where are these products made?
These are also American-made products.
All right, let's go to mark as exhibit number 8. And do you identify what this is?
This is our SolAmerica three-phase transformer.
And inverters too?
Yep.
Okay, so these are the inverters that we use, correct? And I think you testified this is what's changing the power from direct current to alternating current.
Correct.
Okay? And where are these inverters made?
These are also American-made.
Let's go ahead and mark as exhibit number 9. You identified what this is?
This is a transformer.
Okay. And what is the purpose of the transformer?
They upphase the power to the grid.
All right, so it'll regulate it. You can step it up or step it down, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And again, where are these products made?
These are also American-made products.
Now, we included these specification sheets in here. Are these the products that you would anticipate using during construction?
Yes, it is.
What would happen if they're not available? Would you go for a similar type project, or how do you handle that? Because I understand you're not going to start construction for possibly a year.
Yes, we have contracts for all these American-made products in line and in stock.
Okay, they're in line at this point now.
Sometimes when we get into technical design, we have to change some of the components slightly. That's all handled during the engineering phase.
Would you anticipate there any major departure from what we just presented here this morning?
No.
So let's talk a little bit about monitoring the array comes in here. In general, how is the array monitored?
The array is remotely monitored by computer, similar to any other power plant or electric transmission facility.
So is there an individual actually stationed at the array?
No, there are no individuals there. There are no employees on site.
Where will it be monitored? At corporate headquarters?
Corporate, yes,
Right. And that's where, again?
in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. And is that how you monitor all your existing arrays that you have throughout the United States?
Correct.
Okay. And when we say we monitor, what does that entail? You're getting readings from the array to make sure that it's working. Just explain a little bit about the monitoring process.
Correct. We closely monitor the array production so we know how much power is being produced, and that is done remotely by computer. If a panel would short out, it shuts off. We would know about that. We would see the line loss, so we can go out and replace that panel. in case of an emergency, these are designed to, the inverters and things are designed just to shut down automatically.
Okay, good. So, would you have any local individuals, or let's say someone closer than Atlanta, here who could be on call to assist in case there was an issue?
Absolutely. We have a local site manager, and that information will be posted on our sign on our gate. And we'll also have a local landscaping maintenance company.
Okay, so you have a combination of remote monitoring as well as your local hands-on in the case that would need remediation or some work done.
Correct.
Okay. Let's say that we have an event like a hailstorm, for instance, and we have a damaged panel. How is that handled with the array?
Typically, we don't have hail problems. These are designed to be living outside in extreme conditions. There have been major hailstorms that have shattered these panels. They're quickly replaced. The reason we have a 25-year lease is these panels are guaranteed to produce their power for 25 years. And that's what we base our lease on, so anytime they fail, they're replaced.
So let's assume that we had a damaged panel for whatever reason. You would get notification of that because there'd be a loss of power generation, correct?
Correct. We get a failure signal.
And upon the failure signal, would you notify your local person to take a look at it?
Correct.
And if they would have to replace the panel, what would they do?
They're simply unscrewed and unhooked and hooked back up and screwed down.
So they would, we'll take that apart a little bit more. So they would take the panel, would they just like dump it and leave it on site?
No, the panels are recycled.
So they would remove the panel from the property?
Correct.
And then we would install a new panel on the property?
Correct, and those panels are not stored on the property, we have warehouses.
If the panel was cracked and it was damaged, would there be any materials leaking out from the panel?
No, there's no liquid materials, there's nothing to leak. The cadmium telluride is bonded to the panel itself. It's a solid.
So it's a solid material, it's not like liquid mercury, for instance, it's an actual solid that is on there.
Correct.
So if it would crack, again, just to emphasize, there would be no cadmium telluride or other materials dripping down into the soil.
No, absolutely not. It's actually hard to get those metals back out of the panels. That's why they're expensive to recycle.
So they're really bonded to the silicon outside.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you have been operating, again, how many arrays are currently in operation by SolAmerica?
We have over 100.
And you have a similar operation standard with primarily remote operations and maintenance with a local component, correct?
Correct, that is the industry standard.
And have you had any issues with any of your other arrays with maintenance or problems with damaged panels?
There are always problems that happen, and we handle them promptly.
And that could be just something breaks, or you have to replace a panel because maybe it's defective and not generated.
Yes, and general maintenance.
Overall, how do you find the reliability of these panels when you say they're guaranteed for 25 years? Are they generally performing that way?
Yes, they are.
And has that been an increase in industry standards since, well, let's say 10, 15 years ago, when the industry was more emergent?
Definitely, yes.
Right, so in other words, they're building better panels, they're more robust. Are they more efficient in generating electricity?
They are more efficient and produce more power.
All right, that's all I have for Scott. Well, we will go on to our next witness. Take it.
Before you proceed, please proceed. Yes.
Normally,
You need your name,
my name
please?
is Ashley Asper, 142 Corners Road.
Okay. What's your, what's your, I'm sorry?
Spell your last name.
A-S-P-E-R. be parties to this and ask questions to like the,
You will have that opportunity. As I
Okay.
indicated in the beginning, there's a significant amount of information that an applicant such as this one has to produce first. After that, you'll be able to examine,
okay, I just
question
wanted to
witnesses.
check. It seems like that's a lot of information for
The
everybody
board-
to approve to
the
then
Board of Supervisors-
cross-examine somebody.
As I indicated in the beginning, when they're done with their case, the Board of Supervisors can question any of the witnesses, and interested parties can do so as well.
How do you sign up to be a party?
Pardon me?
How do you sign up to be the
Do
party?
you want to be a party?
I'm just asking for the room.
Write down who you are and indicate you want to be a party and provide that to the board. Your next witness?
Zane, could you please state your name for the record?
Yes, Zane Geist
And where are you currently employed?
with Integrated Consulting.
And what do you do at Integrated?
I'm a project manager.
Just kind of describe the type of projects you work on.
I work on a variety of subdivision and land development projects with Integrated Consulting across many different sectors
And I don't know if I asked you, where's Integrated located?
in Warmensburg.
All right. Are you a professional engineer in Pennsylvania?
Yes,
All right. I'm going to show you what I've marked as exhibit number 10. Can you identify what that is?
that is my resume.
Does it accurately reflect your educational background and work experience?
It does.
And yeah, you are a professional engineer in Pennsylvania?
Correct.
All right. So I'd like to qualify him as an expert engineer with an emphasis in land development.
That is fine.
Okay, thank you. Zane, are you familiar with the site and the surrounding area?
Yes,
Are you familiar with the application and the plans submitted for this morning's hearing?
yes,
Are you familiar with the Middlesex Township zoning ordinance, particularly ordinance number 5-2011?
yes,
And are you familiar with the needs of the applicant in developing the property?
yes,
Are you familiar with the proposed operation of the solar array?
yes,
And are you authorized to speak on behalf of the applicant?
yes.
So what I want to start off with is I want to run through the application. So let's go turn to exhibit number 1. And the first couple pages are the actual form. But we're going to walk through the narrative, which is really starting on the 5th page of exhibit number 1. Again, are you familiar with this application report?
Yes.
So we're going to I'll start out with the executive summary. I mean, approximately how large is the property?
The property is, the parent tract is 115.95 acres. There's a subdivision shown on the exhibit, which this falls on proposed lot 3, which is 30.43 acres.
And how large is the lease area?
25 acres.
And what's the current zoning?
Residential farm,
What's the current use of the property?
agricultural,
And what is the proposed use of the property?
or principal solar energy system.
Let's turn to what I marked as exhibit number 11. And can you identify what this is?
This is the site plan submitted as part of the conditional use application.
And was this prepared by you or under your direction and control?
Yes,
Right now, I see there's actually a copy of this on the board there. Is that correct?
correct.
So that's really the same as exhibit number 11?
Yes,
So let's start off, and if you want to show where is the overall property, you could, kind of hard to point to it, but I see there's sort of a red line going around. Is that correct?
correct. The red line going around it represents the lease area.
Okay. Then I see there's sort of a hatched area towards the bottom. What's that?
That is the agricultural easement that is shown as residual lot 1 as part of the beach tract.
And then everything above that residual area of the lot is outlined. What constitutes that?
This is the area of the project site for the principal solar energy system.
All right. And then I see the red lines coming in here, what are those?
Those are solar panels.
All right. Are the neighboring property owners identified on this site plan?
They are.
So they're listed on here. For instance, this is really small. We have, yeah, Weaver.
I believe the last names are Lino, Weaver, Allen, and Miller to the north.
So if we went around, they're all identified that are.
Yes, and Ralph and Linda own the parcel adjacent to the east.
Okay. And let's identify the roads that are on here. What's the primary road going down the middle of the track?
South Middlesex Road.
And that we have here. And then to the south, it's not shown on here, what's the road going kind of perpendicular to South Middlesex?
Ridge Drive.
All right. And where's the access to the site?
It's proposed between where there's existing structures along the frontage of the proposed lot 3 here and the intersection of South Middlesex Road and Horners Road. So it's kind of middle between those two areas.
And that's identified as 20-foot wide access road?
Correct.
All right. And where are the existing power lines?
Along the right of way of South Middlesex Road.
Okay. And in general, where's the connection from the solar array to the power line? Where's that shown?
Yeah, it's shown right near the entrance to the site. There's an existing pool which they'll be tying into there.
And once you get from the pole into the site, is that above ground or below ground?
Everything's below ground besides the existing pool in which they are tying into.
Okay. And I see some little green circles along South Middlesex Road. What's that?
That is proposed landscaping.
All right. And we mark here 6-foot evergreen screening.
Correct.
That's what's anticipated now.
Yes.
And will the details of that be worked out during the development plan stage?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's walk through some. We have the upper chart here. We have the area and bulk regulations. Does this concern the regulations that are set forth in the zoning ordinance?
Yes.
All right, and what's the minimum lot size?
5 acres.
And what's our proposed that we're working on?
30.43.
And what's the maximum lot coverage?
20%.
And what are we proposing?
3.45%.
And what's the minimum lot width at the building setback?
400 feet.
And what are we proposing?
790.
All right. And there's some yard requirements for the front side and rear yard. What are those?
The required are 40 for front yard, 20 for side yard, 45 for rear yard.
And what are we proposing?
We're proposing 255 feet to the for the front yard, 33 feet for side yard, and 92 feet for the rear yard, all minimum.
And that is based on what we're calling for either on-lot water and sewer, which is the most restricted.
That's representative of the current conditions on the property.
All right. And what's the maximum structure height?
35 feet.
And what are we showing?
We are showing a maximum of 15 foot for the panels.
All right. And I know we do have a diagram in the upper corner here. Does that really show the height or on there?
Yes.
All right. So that's in the upper right-hand corner. We show the maximum height of the panel in Celsius, right?
Correct.
And that's at what feet?
15 feet above ground.
So when we go through all those dimension requirements, and we went through rather quickly, does the project meet the standard dimensional requirements set forth in the zoning district?
Yes.
All right, so let's go back again to the height that we have on here. We have what's called a single axis tracking system, is that correct?
Correct.
And can you just explain what that means?
So the panels are mounted upon an axis and built along a row as you would see on the plan here, and they can track the sun throughout they can be the angle can be adjusted as needed to track the sun.
So they shift. In other words, it
Correct.
rotates back and forth depending on what time of day it is.
Yes.
All right. And when we look at the maximum height is when it's rotated, not when it's flat.
Correct.
And that's when we get to the maximum 15 feet.
Correct.
All right. And then generally, how high off the ground are these things?
So the mounting system itself, the access can be no greater than 10 feet off the ground in order to comply with DEP regulations for stormwater management.
And what are we proposing here?
We're proposing to install a native meadow vegetation underneath the panels to provide for volume and rate control requirements to meet the stormwater regulations of the state.
All right, so when I just talk about the height off, you said maximum 10 feet, well, that, how high off the ground are we typically when they're tilted?
15 feet maximum.
The bottom height?
Bottom height?
Yeah,
The bottom height would be 10 feet if it was flat.
okay. What's the row separation distance between the distance separation between the various rows of panels?
12 feet if they were flat.
And what's the separation between the actual poles that are put into the ground?
20 feet.
Now we have the gravel access road that's coming in here. Can you describe, we have some details shown up here. Is this, sorry, it's over in the, near the upper right-hand corner. What, could you describe what's going on there?
Sure, this is a detail of the typical gravel access road that would intersect with the South Middlesex Road and lead back into the project site.
And we have a couple little turnarounds, is that correct?
Correct.
And we have a turnaround at the beginning. And what's the purpose of that turnaround?
That would be for if they need to come into maintenance, the switches and the meters that are underground right there, so they could pull off and then turn in, do a 3-point turn to get back out of the site.
And then there's two more, then one at the end. What are those for?
Those are for the transformer inverter pads for operation maintenance.
So I guess you'd ask for that. They're labeled, there's two rectangles shown in here. What's located on there?
Those are the transformers and inverters.
Do we have fencing around the project?
We do.
How tall is the fence?
8 feet.
And we have a detail in the upper right-hand corner. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, upper right-hand corner here. And what type of fencing is that?
It'd be a chain link fence.
All right. Would there be barbed wire on top?
No.
Okay. We do have, would there be any signage, like warning signs put onto these gates? Sorry, onto the fence?
Yes, there would be high voltage warning signs.
And those are placed periodically along the perimeter?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have a gate for the project?
Yes.
And we have a detail shown for that also.
Yes.
And is it going to be locked?
Yes.
Locking? If required or requested by the first responders, we do like a knock box situation?
Correct. All coordination will occur with the emergency first responders in the case of emergency.
So they could get in?
Correct.
But otherwise it is locked going in?
Correct.
Speaking again back to the transformer pad, what's that, what the details about that? I see we have a little detail in the upper right corner.
Correct. That is a typical detail for a for a pad for concrete underneath the transformer.
All right, I'm going to go back into the narrative, which is in exhibit number 1. And I want to talk a little bit more detail about how the project actually works. So within the narrative, we have figure 1 site location, right?
Correct.
And this is really a schematic of all the information we went through just now.
Correct.
And it's shown on the plan exhibits.
Correct.
So I turn over to the next page, which is the marked page number 7. I see a photograph. What's that showing?
That is a photograph of a typical single-axis tractor system.
Right. And I see there is vegetation underneath that. Is that typical what would look like?
Yes.
Right. In general, how is that maintained underneath the, how's the vegetation maintained?
It would be mowed a few times a year in order to maintain a height of no greater than a foot off the ground.
And is there some DEP regulations on that?
There are.
Okay. As Scott had testified, there's, the sequence here is sunlight is then converted by the rays into electricity. Then we have the inverters, which convert DC to AC power. Then we have transformers, which then regulate the level of the power into the grid. Is that generally correct, your understanding?
That's correct.
Do you have any details you would add on how that is done, or is that been a fair summary?
I think that's a fair summary.
All right, let's go back to the site plan. Exhibit number 11. All right, let's talk about some of the setbacks that we have here. You had mentioned before we had the setback lines on here, but let's just show them. Are they detailed? The setback to the north. How close is the fence to be to the property line?
33 feet.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm sorry, the panels are 33 feet. The fence is 20 feet.
And out of the 33 feet, that's at the closest point, correct?
Correct.
Portions of it are actually farther away.
Correct.
Okay. And if we go to the east, we have a 45-foot setback. How close is the closest array?
92 feet.
Right? And if we go to the south, we'll just talk to the lease line that we have here. Coming in here, we have a 40-foot setback. How far away is the closest array panel?
65 feet.
All right. And if we go to the west, which is going towards Middlesex Road here, about how far away is the actual array?
252 feet.
Now, you had mentioned that there's some landscaping put along here, correct?
Correct.
And how did that come about?
That came about at one of the planning commission meetings in which a resident raised concerns about visual aspects of the solar array, in which we agreed to provide landscaping, even though it's not required by the solar ordinance, to help accommodate those concerns.
So that landscaping you put in where it's shown, I noticed along the north there appears to be some sort of tree line. Is that what that is?
Correct.
All right. Are you anticipating any additional landscaping back there?
Not at this time.
Let's talk a little bit about stormwater. You had mentioned that stormwater is being regulated by DEP. Is that correct?
Correct.
In general, does DEP have specific regulations on how stormwater is handled for projects like this?
Yes.
And just describe in general, what does that involve?
Sure. As I mentioned previously, DEP does not consider the solar panels themselves as impervious area as long as you meet their criteria for managing stormwater beneath the panels. And that comes into play with the required access height above the ground, as well as maintaining the native meadow vegetation beneath the panels. As long as those requirements are met and you're not exceeding the slopes, the maximum slopes as described by DEP, you may take credit for volume water rate control for stormwater below the panels. Besides, outside of the panels, any other impervious areas, including access road pads, would have to be managed by traditional stormwater best management practices.
And of course, during land development plan, you would have to then provide all those details for the stormwater management, both underneath the panel as well as off-site, correct?
Correct.
And that would be reviewed by the township engineer to make sure that it met both DEP requirements as well as township requirements, correct?
Correct.
At this point, do you anticipate any issues meeting those stormwater requirements for this project?
We do not.
Let's talk a little bit about traffic. Of course, we do have an access road coming in here. What type of traffic or vehicles would be at the site during operations?
They would only have maybe a pickup truck once a quarter at a maximum accessing the site. It's pretty much going to be an empty site for most, passive site for most of its operation.
Of course, if there was a repair needed or something like that, they could come in more often.
Correct.
But we're not anticipating daily traffic volume coming into this site, correct?
Correct.
Let's go to what I marked as exhibit number 12.
This is the glare impact study that was prepared for the conditional use application.
Now, is it typical that you would work with other experts as part of the project team to develop certain components of the application?
Correct.
And here we have a sound study, and as a PE, professional engineer, glare study. Is it within your profession to rely on reports of other experts as part of your application?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the contents of this study?
Yes.
And were you involved sort of in the generation of this study, working with them in developing the sound study?
The glare study.
I'm sorry, yes, the glare study.
Yes.
We'll get to sound next. Sorry. Excuse me. And are you familiar with general on it's called the science of glare, on how glare is generated and regulated?
Yes.
What is the general purpose of the study?
To analyze potential impacts of glare resulting from the installation of the solar panels on surrounding roads and residences.
Okay. So we talk about glare generally. What do you mean by that?
That would be the glare, the reflection of the sun off of the panel that potentially adverse it to other residences and drivers.
Now, the intention of this project is actually to harvest the sunlight and turn it into electricity, correct?
Correct.
So the glare, in some sense, is a waste product coming out?
Correct.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
loose terms.
Yeah. I would not refer to it as waste. I would refer to it as a potential effect of the panel installation.
All right. So it's part of the sunlight that's not generating electricity.
Correct.
Okay. Now, the project here, the glare study, talks about an FAA solar policy that's been developed. Is that correct?
Correct.
And is that really the industry standard that's being used to model and determine what the effects of glare on surrounding areas?
Correct.
And was this done in accordance with that those guidelines?
Correct.
So let's talk a little bit about the modeling of glare. If I turn now on page 3, we have a diagram which is called the law of reflection, which brings back memories of physics class to me. Could you explain what's going on there?
So basically, the angle in which the sun hits the panel produces an equal angle when it's a reflection.
And there's really 3 outputs that we talk about in there when they classify the type of glare. We have red, yellow, and green that we come through here. If you would talk about what those are.
Right, so those refer to the potential impact of the glare. The green would represent low potential for an after image, the yellow would be potential for after image, and red would represent retinal burn occurring.
So that's not good, is it?
No.
You don't want that. All right, so let's turn to page 5 on here. We have figure number 4. What's going on here?
Here, figure 4 shows the 40 different receptors that were modeled throughout or surrounding the project site.
So based upon here, we look at what would be the anticipated glare from this site at these surrounding locations.
Correct.
Okay, that goes on here. Now, based upon that, what's what results came out?
There were 3 residences identified along Rich Drive, which were shown as I think 14, 15, 16 in the exhibit here, and those represent 91, 111, 121 Rich Drive.
All right, and they had a slight impact of glare based upon the model. What timing, if you recall, would they have that?
So this would be between April 1st and September 5th, between the hours of 7 p.m. and 8:30 p.m.
So that was under normal operations. The glare was noted that it was there. Were there any mitigation that was proposed which could take care of that?
Yes, holding the tilt of the panels at 5 degrees resolves any glare issues that were recorded as part of that modeling.
Right. So how would that be handled? So between between April 1st and September 5th, how would this be handled so we do not have that glare adverse effect?
Sure. As Scott mentioned to you earlier, that they remotely monitor these panels, they have the ability to control that angle of the panels as well, to ensure that that glare is not become an issue for these residences.
Now, do you have an opinion of whether the glare produced by the proposed system has a significant adverse effect on neighboring or adjacent uses?
It will not.
And that, of course, is based upon the mitigation you just described.
Correct.
All right, let's turn to what I marked as exhibit number 13. And can you identify in general what this is?
This is the solar decommissioning plan.
All right, now this was prepared by the applicant in conjunction with you, is that correct?
Correct.
All right, so let's just walk through these. What's the anticipated lifespan of the solar array?
25 years.
Okay, and in general, what happens during decommissioning?
Essentially, the panels and all associated features in their entirety are removed from the property and it is restored back to its original condition.
And if we look through here, we have information on here. Section 4.1 goes through those details that will happen. Is that correct?
Correct.
So there's the various steps of what gets removed, it gets taken away, going there.
Correct.
Now you say site restoration. Is there any mass grading done on this property?
No.
Right. So what gets restored on the site?
After removal of the posts and the foundations of it, they'll be restoring that back to original vegetated conditions.
All right. And the only, we have the posts that are put in.
Correct.
And then we have the gravel road and the pads.
Correct.
So those features are removed, the cement and the gravel, that's removed.
Correct.
And it's just reseeded.
Yeah, so they would likely perform some sort of a soil tilling to make sure that any compacted areas are loosened prior to planting a seed mix.
And again, as part of land development, this would then be reviewed just to make sure that the township engineer is satisfied with the decommissioning plan, correct?
Correct.
And this is our proposal, how we would do it, and this is consistent with what was done by other sites, or is being proposed for other sites that SolAmerica has.
Correct.
Now, as part of the decommissioning, the ordinance requires that financial security be placed with the municipality, is that correct?
Correct.
Did you have a chance to prepare an estimate of the decommissioning cost?
Correct.
And so, turn to exhibit number 14. Can you identify what that is?
That is the preliminary decommissioning cost estimate.
And so we have a chart here that we looked at, and again, was this prepared by you in conjunction with the applicant?
Correct.
And what do you come up with?
Total value of $370,000, $504. I'm sorry, $370,504.99.
All right. And does that involve recycling at all?
Yes.
So that would be the amount that we're proposing right now to cover it. And then, of course, this has not been reviewed by the township engineer, correct?
It has not.
Okay. So if I go to exhibit number 15, of course, that's the blank that we have right now. That is meant to be the financial security coming in here. When do you anticipate that the applicant would provide financial security?
It would be provided prior to construction,
Okay. Probably before recording the plan.
likely before the recording of the plan.
I would say very likely.
Yes. Well, the financial security for the construction, for the actual public improvements would have to be before recording of the plan. Decommissioning cost or estimate would likely come along with that.
Okay. And then the final amount would be determined once the township engineer for decommissioning has had a chance to review it and concur with what we have. Is that right?
Correct.
And at that time, then the actual finance security would be put in place.
Correct.
Okay, with that. And again, during land development stage, if we had it, if there was any other issues, we could finalize these action
Correct.
So we're going to break for our sound guy, and then Zane will be back to go over ordinance standards. the record.
William Kaufel.
And where are you currently employed?
Skelly and Lloyd, Terracon out of Harrisburg.
And what do you do there?
I am the group leader for acoustics.
And what does that involve?
We generally do noise studies for industrial complexes, transportation, utilities, renewables, things that make noise, and do noise modeling, mitigation, measurements, things like that.
And how long have you been at Scully and Lloyd or Terracon?
Oh, it's been over 32 years.
Just so I'm clear about when we say Scully and Lloyd Terracon, can you explain that?
Yeah, we were purchased by Terracon just prior to the pandemic, so we're still known as Skelly and Lloyd, but we're a Terracon company, so we're going to be transitioning to Terracon eventually, but it's a nationwide company
And where's your office located?
in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Now, I see what I marked as exhibit number 16. Can you identify what that is?
Yes, this is my resume.
And does it accurately reflect your educational background and work and project experience?
Yes, sir.
So we'd like to qualify Mr. Capel as a acoustic and noise expert.
Gentlemen, do you have any objections?
No.
As with the prior expert as well.
I have no objection.
No objection.
Folks, if you have questions of these experts when the opportunity presents it to you, you can question on their qualifications in addition to the substance. But as it stands now, the board is accepting this individual as an expert as they did with the previous engineer.
Bill, are you familiar with the site and the surrounding area?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the application, the plans submitted for this morning's hearing?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with the Middlesex Township zoning ordinance as it relates to sound standards?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the needs of the applicant in developing the property?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the operations of the proposed solar facility?
Yes.
And have you had an opportunity to do a sound study of the sound emanating from the proposed solar array?
Yes, sir.
So let's turn to our mark as exhibit number 17. Just in general, what is this showing?
This is the sound analysis report that we prepared for the project.
And was this prepared by you or underneath your direction and control?
It was prepared by me.
All right. And what was the purpose of the study?
Generally to assess the operational conditions of the solar facility from a sound perspective.
Okay. So let's walk through the report. I'm really going to skip the summary. We'll get back to that at the end. I want to just dive a little bit in details about sound, how you model it, what it means, because it is for a layman, including myself, a difficult concept to walk through here. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the fundamentals of noise we show in the report here. If I look then on the next page, it was page 3, we have a diagram. Can you explain what this is showing?
It shows common sound levels and the associated decibel levels, sound levels.
All right. So for instance, normal conversation that we're having, not amplified, but normal conversation in a room, what generally is that
It would
decibel?
be in the 60 decibel range.
Okay. Now decibels are also, is that an arithmetic scale?
No,
or log
it
scale?
would be logarithmic.
And what does that mean?
Essentially, it's not arithmetic. So if you have one noise source and you add one more noise source, it's actually a 3 decibel increase. So it's more of a logarithmic scale as opposed to arithmetic.
So it wouldn't be a double if we would be
Correct.
Okay. And when you analyze sound and noise, you're dealing with that on a logarithmic scale. Is that correct?
Correct.
So if we have when we get to the ordinance standard, which we know is at 45 decibels, what does that equate to on your sound figure here?
It's between rainfall and a refrigerator. Essentially, that's background level. 45 decibels is, your general ambient conditions for a residential area, 40 to 45 decibels.
Okay. So we turn now to page 4 on here, and we have the regulatory setting. You set forth 2 standards within the zoning ordinance regarding sound regulations for the solar array. Is that correct?
Yes.
In general, what's the limit that we have?
It's 45 decibels at the property line.
All right. And I see there's 2 levels. One's a DBA, one's DBC. What does that mean? What's the difference between that?
DBA is generally used. It's the weighting system that corresponds best to the human hearing. So DBA is weighted to correspond to the frequencies that we can actually hear. DBC is more linear. The lower frequencies are not weighted as heavily as a DBA, and they're generally used for very loud conditions, impulsive noise, things like that.
Like a gunshot?
Yes, absolutely. Very loud noises.
All right, so what would be the more relevant one here? Is it the DBA regulation?
Generally, it's the A-weighted decibel that corresponds to people's reaction to noise, and most common noise regulations are A-weighted.
Now, when you first start off your model and analysis, you're looking at the ambient noise or ambient sound levels. Can you describe what does that mean?
Ambient sound levels would be the sound levels presented, from transportation sources, whatever's out there currently. The environmental sounds, you have agricultural sounds, you have birds, wind, that kind of thing. So ambient sound levels would be that background sound level. And what we did for this project was look at common land uses. We didn't take measurements, and the Acoustical Society of America has corresponding background ambient levels based upon land use. So for this particular project, we assumed that the background ambient level was 40 to 45 decibels, which is typical for a suburban, rural area such as this.
Now, you had mentioned you used some national standards to determine what's typical of background noise. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is that something that is used as standard practice in your industry?
Generally, during this phase of the project, yes. We often get into noise measurements prior to construction, where we do pre-construction measurements and post-construction measurements. So we nail down during the development phase what the existing sound levels are, and then after construction, we will go back and do some compliance testing.
Now, there's two phases really here where you looked at sound levels. When we have the construction phase, which is obviously a temporary stage, and then we have the permanent operations. Let's talk a little bit about the construction levels that we have on here. The construction coming in here, what do you come up with for sound generations at that time?
The construction is pretty much intermittent and moves around the property. I think the loudest portions of the construction are obviously going to be inserting the posts, the piles, pressing them in. Within 1,000 feet, I think we're somewhere around 65 decibels intermittent for a pile driver, but that's pretty much worst case.
So it'd be like equipment just operating on there to install everything.
Correct.
Now, the major focus here, of course, is the long-term operations.
Yes.
So let's take a look at that we have here. Now we're at section number 7. What did you do to, how did you model the, let me take it back. What is the source of the sound coming from the solar array?
Solar facilities generally don't make a lot of noise. There's 3 elements of the solar facility that produce sound. One would be we had talked about the trackers. These are little DC motors. They're less than 50 decibels at 5 feet. You walk 10 feet away, and they basically adjust in the morning very intermittently. They don't make any sound within the array. The 2 major components of the sound associated with a facility like this would be the inverters and also the transformer. I'll start with the inverters. The inverters, I think there's 6 on each pad. They produce sound at 73 decibels at 1 meter. You take that out to 40 meters or 150 feet, that's 43 decibels based upon the expansion of sound or the propagation of sound. The inverters are placed, within the pad area next to the transformer. I believe there's 6 on each pad, and then there's a transformer on each pad. The transformers are produce significantly less noise than the inverters. I think they're rated at 64 decibels at 1 meter. So, when you get out to 10 meters below background, you can literally, when you're 5 to 10 feet away from these transformers, you can't hear them. They're very difficult to discern that they're even on. They're cooled with liquid, and you have to put your ear up against it to know it's even on. The inverters are quite a bit louder, so to speak, when compared to the transformer, but they're still relatively quiet. They're probably about the same acoustic energy as a typical air conditioning unit in you know, a residential setting, a small window unit. And you know, the only noise associated with the inverters is cooling. There's a little fan in there that's essentially cooling the inverter components, and it works at its maximum when the cooling is needed. So, you know, at the high sun days, the hottest days is when they're at their maximum capacity or usage.
So, we know who the sound generators are. Did you have an opportunity to model these?
Yes, we used a computer program called SoundPlan. It uses the International Standard Organization sound propagation statistics or methodology. And essentially it's a three-dimensional model that you build of the array, the surrounding area, and you plug in your noise sources, and it's able to predict sound levels at discrete locations or produce sound contours associated with the maximum operational conditions.
And does it matter whether there's like, you know, leaves on the tree or what time of year it is?
For this model, we generally assume worst case conditions. We do not model trees. There's not a lot of trees in this area anyhow. But generally, from a worst case perspective, we don't you know, analyze you know, foliage because of the winter conditions when the trees are off. So we look at a worst case scenario.
All right. And what about like atmospheric conditions? You know, if it was a, you know, certain days you maybe hear something a bit farther away than other days.
Yeah, I mean, there's some atmosphere to go into the model. We look at light wind conditions because anything above, say, 5 miles an hour, it actually reduces the sound. It dissipates it more. So light wind, you know, in certain directions, and that's kind of how we predict the worst case scenario.
So based upon that, did you then set up modeling points around the solar array?
Yeah, we set up discrete receptors at all the residential areas, I think within about a quarter mile or half mile of this facility.
So if I look now at figure 2 of the report,
Yes.
does that indicate where the actual sound receptors were modeled?
Yes, they're the discrete modeling locations of the residential areas.
And it really follows the property line also.
Yeah.
And based upon that, we looked at figures 3. We have 2 contour plots. Can you describe what this is showing?
Yeah, there's a sound contour plot for the A weighted decibel as well as the C weighted decibel. They're relatively the same. There's slight undulations with the C weighting because of the lower frequencies, but that essentially shows, you know, the lowest contour level is 45 decibels, so anything outside that, the green area is below 45.
So I see there is a slight spillover to the north above the property line. Is that correct?
Yes, for the C-weighted decibels are slight, and some of that might be discrepancies in regard to the property line and how the aerial lines up. It's not exact.
So let's turn to my part as exhibit number 18. And can you identify what this is?
After the submission of the original noise for sound report, we were asked to provide any information regarding lowering sound levels on the site based upon, I think there's some public input, and we wanted to see what we could do to lower the sound levels. So we essentially looked at noise mitigation, which is presented on this figure.
So we have the first page here, which is marked figure 3A1. What does this show?
It's the A-weighted sound contours. So the lowest limit would be the 45 decibel ordinance. Anything outside that line would be less than 45. And we modeled 3 meter high sound walls, absorptive sound walls, to the north, west, and south of each equipment pad. So essentially, it's a C-shaped sound barrier that's about 3 meters high, and to see what the results were and the sound contouring.
All right, so let's just talk a little bit about that mitigation. You talk about a sound wall. Is this like a cement type product, similar to what you see against a highway wall?
Yeah, it can be cement. It can be there's some composite materials that are available.
And you said they're about 3 meters tall.
Yes.
And it's on covering 3 sides.
Yes.
So you still have access come through here.
Right.
And what was again the purpose of putting these on?
To pretty much reduce the sound contour profile on the in the modeling.
So based upon that mitigation, are there any of the 45 decibel contours at or beyond the property line?
No, it's significantly reduced. You know, the dispersion of the sound emanating from each one of the equipment pads.
And so you would estimate that the sound of the property line would be equivalent to the ambient sound level?
Yes, absolutely.
Now we go back to the summary report that's on here. At the very beginning, you put in your operations and the summary that we have here. And we covered most of the material here on here. And do you have an opinion on whether the sound standards set forth in the ordinance have been met with this project?
Yes.
And what is your opinion on that?
That they will be within the ordinance.
So we don't have sound at the property line exceeding 45 decibels, correct?
Correct.
And we do not have a 5 decibel increase in sound level at the property level from ambient.
Correct.
Thank you. Can we go back to Zane? All right, Zane, are you familiar with the principal solar energy system standards within the zoning ordinance?
Yes.
All right, so what I'm going to do now is we're going to run through the various ordinance standards that are in there. I have the ordinance here, ordinance 5-2011. We're going to start with, go through what's in section 14.60, subsections A and B. And there's quite a few sections here. We're going to go through individually and talk about those standards and whether we comply with them or not. Okay?
Okay.
So, first on here, we're on number A1. There's reference to various national standards that are put in here for the layout, design, and installation. Is the array designed to meet those standards?
Yes.
Okay. Number 2 here, the transmission lines and utility lines are, to the extent feasible, are to be placed underground. Is that, how do the lines on site placed?
As mentioned earlier, everything is underground besides the existing pool in which they will reconnect to the grid.
So they are, to the extent feasible, being placed underground.
Correct.
Section number 3 talks about glare. Of course, we had testimony about glare. Do you agree with the analysis that Bill presented?
We're referring to the glare study. It was the glare study specifically,
Sorry.
not the study.
I'm sorry, I've been mixing that up.
That's okay.
All right, so we're talking about, the glare study that you presented on here. Of course, that is indicating that it meets it with the mitigation that we're proposing.
Correct.
Number 4 on here talks about mounted on a building or roof, and is that applicable here?
No.
Number 5 again is related to roofs. Is that applicable here?
No.
All right, so we're on to number 6 here. Talks about fencing here, and we do testify we have an 8-foot high fence with a locking portal securing. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Number 7 here is about warning signs and what signs will be placed on the facility.
Correct. High voltage warning signs will be placed around the perimeter of the site as well as at the pad mount transformers.
And it's basically telling people to stay away.
Correct.
Number 8 is contact information was going to be put in place on here. That will be put on site, correct?
Correct.
And also will be provided to the township as well as the first responders.
Correct.
Okay. Number 9 talks about impact to any radio, television, cell. Would you anticipate that there would be any impact on those services because of this facility?
There will be no impact on those services.
Number 8, 10. It talks about financial security coming in here. It indicates, well, it talks about decommissioning first. You have to, that's part of the decommissioning plan, correct?
Correct.
All right. And it also states that when we get the permit for the construction, that's when we place financial security.
Correct.
So again, financial security will be placed then or beforehand to handle all of the decommissioning costs, correct?
Correct.
All right. Number 11 talks about setbacks to the Appalachian Trail and any historic structures. Did you have a chance to analyze whether there are any historic structures of the trail within 500 feet?
Yes, we did. The Appalachian Trail is not within 500 feet, and there are no nationally registered structures on this site.
Or within 500 feet?
Correct.
A12. It talks about the impervious coverage that's on here that eventually needs to meet the impervious regulations. You have testified before what those numbers are. Does that meet the township requirements of impervious?
Yes.
All right. A13, there's a couple parts here about maintenance and repair. On here, we heard the testimony from Scott concerning the maintenance on there. And is it your opinion that the maintenance would be done in accordance with industry standards?
Correct.
All right. And 13B, of course, is related to the decommissioning in the case of non-use. All right, correct?
Correct.
Now, just in general, when we go through here in the decommissioning, typically we have a decommissioning agreement that's put in place as part of the land development plan state. Would you anticipate that?
Yes.
And with all the details concerning the decommissioning, timing, who has to do what notification, what gets triggered for the decommissioning, would that be placed in the decommissioning agreement?
Yes.
And we would have that in place with the agreement of the township solicitor would review that. That would be in place, again, prior to construction, or definitely operations, correct?
Correct.
And that would be put in conjunction with the financial security that's going to be put in place.
Correct.
So that's really the bulk now of number 14, all deals with decommissioning that would work, goes through. So let's go down to number 15. It talks about whether you need a solar easement. In other words, you need an easement from a neighbor saying you're not going to block the sunlight. Is any of that needed here?
No.
So no matter what the neighbors do with this, it's not going to affect the ability of this to generate sun energy from the sun.
Correct.
Okay. A16, now we're going to get the sound. All right. We have the testimony that the sound level is less than 45 decibels at the property line, and it's not a 5 decibel increase for ambient, correct?
Correct.
And you concur with the results that Bill testified to?
I do.
Now let's go to number B. We have more requirements here, and this goes on. Let's go through them on here. Of course, B number 1 indicates that we must comply with the ordinance. That's true, right?
Correct.
So we have the testimony that we did, as well as the written materials supporting the exhibits. Is it your opinion that we have met the standards?
Yes.
Now, we go through here, number B2, that we need a narrative provided in use on here, starting at the very beginning. We do have the narrative that we presented here this morning, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now we're under A. A goes on for pretty much A through N. So we're all within B2. Little A talks about the agreements with the property owners that we have. And of course, we have the early exhibit indicating the lease and the assignment, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, we have a notification in number B of people within 2,500 feet. Were those notifications sent out?
Correct.
And we have approved services, certified mail. Those are included also within the exhibit.
Yes.
Okay, number C on here, we scale plans that are put on here, and the plans that you provided were prepared by you, and they are scaled. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Number D talks about the decommissioning documents specified. Of course, we have the estimate, and financial security would be placed in once reviewed and approved by the township. The actual form approved by the solicitor would then be submitted. Correct?
Correct. No,
And explain that, why no?
they're not within the vicinity of an airport overlay that would cause a conflict.
And did you do any analysis or research to determine that?
Yes, we always look at nearby airports and zoning overlays of airports to ensure there are no conflicts with those.
All right, so at this point now, there are no permits or clearances required regarding the FAA, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Number F, it says NPDES regulations, document proof if applicable. Now, is the NPDES permit program applicable during the land development plan stage?
Yes.
And what do you have to, first of all, what is that?
That's National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System that falls in PA is regulated under code or Title 25, Chapter 102, in which any disturbance greater than 1 acre requires an earth disturbance permit in accordance with those regulations.
So that's something that you would then apply to DEP, you get the permit, you work in conjunction with the township engineer on that, correct?
Correct, as well as the conservation district in the county.
All right. And yeah, that is done and finalized during land development plan stage.
Correct.
Did you anticipate, and of course, the land development plans haven't been submitted or even reviewed by the township engineer yet.
Correct.
All right. So, do you anticipate any issues with receipt of the NPDES permit for this project?
We do not.
Let's go to number G. We're getting near the end. This has to do with PNDIs coming in here, and what's that?
It's the Pennsylvania Natural Diversity Index, so it's screening of threatened and endangered species in the Commonwealth.
And did you have an opportunity to look at that?
Yes.
And what did you do, and what were your conclusions?
There were no species of concern within the project site.
And how did you determine that?
By completing a PNDI screening form.
And that gets submitted to someone?
Yes, that gets submitted back to all of the regulatory agencies, including U.S. Fish and Wildlife, PA Game Commission, PA Fish and Boat Commission, DCNR.
And you basically got no hits, or how did you determine it?
Yes, there were no hits involved with that screening.
All right. And would you anticipate that, given that this is an existing agricultural field?
Yes.
Number H talks about historic structures, sites, or resources listed by the Pennsylvania Historic Museum Commission. Did you have a chance to look at that?
We did.
And what did you do?
There were no listed registered structures within the project site.
All right. Did you have any, okay, so you determined there's nothing available, nothing relevant to this project?
There was nothing registered. There was, we had per our coordination with PHMC.
Number I, okay, that deals with wetlands. Now, are there any wetlands within the leased area?
There were not. We had a biologist do a wetland water course delineation. He did not find any regulated wetlands within the project site.
Okay, what about on the overall property? Were there some wetlands maybe on the residual property?
He did not investigate beyond the 25-acre lease area.
Okay. All right. And will that be confirmed then during the land development stage?
Yes.
Okay, number J talks about application applying with an adjoining municipality. Is the project entirely within Middlesex Township?
Yes.
All right, so this one isn't applicable then. Okay, you have number B2K, which talks about the glare study that's done on here. You testified to that, is that correct?
Correct.
And do you concur with the results that are set forth within that study?
I do.
Okay. Then we have number L. These are the noise standards that we have here. And again, you heard the testimony that Bill gave concerning the noise regarding the 45 decibel limit on the property line and no more than a 5 decibel increase from ambient at the property line. Do you concur with those results from the study?
I do.
All right. Number M talks about notifications for the public utility. I'm going to turn to it and mark as exhibit number 19. And can you identify what this is?
Yes, this is notification to PPL Electric Utilities of the owners or the applicant's intent to connect to the local grid.
Right. So they sent a letter, then there's a whole interconnection application.
Response time to the initial application is usually within a few weeks. Actually, the approvals can take a little bit longer.
Okay. And are you aware that they get a response coming back from this?
Yes.
Okay. And the approvals, that there's a large pipeline for this. At some point, they will respond back.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That, I believe, is the last standard. Yeah. Okay, number 3 here is not. All right. Now, do you have a professional opinion on whether the applications met all the objective standards for a principal solar energy system?
I believe it has addressed all of the required requirements of the application.
So that is your professional opinion.
Correct.
All right. Now, the ordinance, since it's conditional use, we are presumed to meet the general standards in the ordinance for any conditional use, kind of health, safety, welfare stuff that's on there. But I'd like to get some additional, what do you call it, evidence, testimony from you regarding those standards I have here. So those standards are set forth in section 18.13C of the zoning ordinance. So the general conditional use standards. Are you familiar with those?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to run through those. These kind of general terms that we have here, not read them verbatim. There are 8 standards set forth in there. The first one is setting forth that it's not judgmental or endangering the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare. That's something here. Do you believe, how do you address that standard?
I do not believe, given the testimony we provided, that this will endanger the public health or welfare. This would be listed as a permitted use pending the conditional use approval. It's primarily a passive system, as we've testified to upon construction. That it's going to be very minimal traffic and occupation of the site, as well as this provides a means for which this property owner and this farmer, Mr. Geach, would be able to receive some income, a stable source of income for his property there, in accordance with the lease agreement for the length of the lease.
So in other words, it can help him maintain his other farming operations.
Correct.
Okay. So when we talk about it's not endangering, the comfort or general welfare, I mean, of course, something's being installed, right?
Right.
It's going to be seen, right?
Correct.
So the standard here really isn't that, well, I see it and I like it. The question is whether that in and of itself has an adverse effect, which is quantifiable, on adjacent neighbors. So with your testimony to that, there is no detrimental effect?
Correct.
Okay. All right, number 2, and this is a related concept here. It's not injurious to the use, enjoyment of adjoining or nearby properties, or substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood. What's your response to that?
As mentioned previously, there will be a security fence surrounding the site. We have provided additional screening beyond what was, the lack of requirements of landscaping in the ordinance. It'll be a protected site and monitored. As the testimony provided by Bill regarding the noise, that there's very little noise impact as well. So we do not believe that there are any adverse impacts on surrounding properties as part of this project.
Now again, neighbors of course are going to see it. And
Right.
I imagine we'll have people stand there and say they don't like it and they don't want it. But that's not the standard here. It's whether or not there is substantially diminished property values. Do you have any sense of whether property values would be substantially diminished?
There are no proven examples of overall property diminishment. There's been some studies, but from what I understand in discussions with the applicant, it's inconclusive and it's not anticipated to adversely affect property value.
Number 3, it will not affect the change in the character of the neighborhood.
Folks, come on. You have the opportunity.
Let's get serious.
It's a joke.
This is a joke.
Joke.
Okay. The standard is changing character of the neighborhood. Now, of course, as I said, there is an installation here. Something's changing.
Correct.
It's currently a field, and we're going to have a solar field. So there's a change that's on here. So the question is not as whether there's a change on the property, because that's obviously changing. but it has to do with the change in the character of the neighborhood going forward. Will there be any change happening on the adjoining properties? In other words, will they remain as they are now?
They will remain as they are now.
Okay. And the area is predominantly agricultural with residentials, houses scattered amongst them, is that correct?
Correct.
And will farming remain on the residual portions of the property?
Yes.
Now, even within the solar array, it's possible there could be some ag operations. It could be bees, for instance, could be put on there, correct?
Correct.
Or they could do maintenance with sheep, could happen.
Correct.
All right, so there's a possibility that even within the array, there could be maintaining some agricultural component.
Correct.
Now, clearly, the primary onsite will be the solar array coming in here. But the actual character of the neighborhood will remain agricultural or residential as it exists right now, correct?
Correct.
Number 4, it will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for permitted uses. Will this have any impact on the development of any neighboring properties?
It will not.
Number 5. Number 5, access is designed to minimize traffic congestion, facilitate pedestrian and traffic circulation and movement. We had testimony about the number of vehicles coming in here. Do you anticipate any traffic congestion?
We do not anticipate traffic congestion as previously testified to. Upon commencement of operations, routine maintenance would be the only traffic that occurs, and that's expected to be a pickup truck potentially once a quarter.
Sorry, keep comments down.
Excuse me?
Is there any pedestrian access to the site?
There is not.
Actually, sir.
Let's talk about number 6, that we have adequate public facilities here, sewer, water, trash, fire, police, ambulance, there's electricity, we're generating electricity on there. Is there any utility demand of those placed on the property?
No.
Is there adequate public services, either for police, fire, that type of thing?
Yes.
And would there be coordination with the first responders with the site, what to do if there's an issue or monitor it and those type of things?
Yes, the applicant works with all first responders, emergency responders of any municipalities in which they propose their projects in order to train them on their safety protocol and how to address emergencies.
Got 2 more. It complies with the planning objective of the comp plan. Now, the comp plan is fairly out of date, is that correct?
Correct.
All right, and then the township will be looking at a new comprehensive plan coming in here, but it is a permitted use within the zoning district, correct?
Correct.
And this ordinance has been in place since, to allow this has been in place since 2011, so the last 14 years, this has been an allowable use within this district and on this property, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And finally, the last one is not inconsistent with the intent and purpose of the zoning district. How do you respond to that?
As you previously mentioned, this is a permitted use per a conditional use application. So we believe it is consistent with the current zoning district.
All right. So kind of summarizing all those, we have 8 general standards we go through here. And again, just a reminder, since it is a permitted conditional use, we are presumed to meet those standards coming in here. But given the additional testimony you have, as well as the application, do you have an opinion whether the project meets the general standards set forth for conditional use in the zoning ordinance?
We believe it meets all the standards set forth in the conditional use application, the zoning ordinance.
Great, thank you. That's it. Okay, I think we're good. We have our exhibits. We need to move them into.
They'll be part of the record.
Okay, at this point, we have no further testimony. I don't know if you want to take a break or you want us to do next.
I'd ask the board to take a brief recess. I'm asking the board to take a brief